You know that feeling when you get home from a trip and your suitcase is still on the floor, completely full of clothes, your refrigerator is empty, and you just need a reset to be able to get back into the groove of things? That is how I'm feeling today. So for the past few days, I've been in Chicago visiting my best friend. She just moved there. And so I'm gonna do a Sunday reset today. I find that when I'm doing my Sunday reset consistently, I tend to have better weeks. And that's just because I'm mentally and physically more prepared to have a great week. But also after I travel, I love to do all of my wellness and my beauty rituals. I feel like my skin gets so dry when I'm traveling on a plane, and it just feels so good to reset and kind of come back to my own routine. For me, my physical environment is so representative of my mental environment, and when it's cluttered or messy in my house, that is how it feels in my brain. So I really like to start every single week with a clean house. I know this is a little extra, but I'm also going to wear my weighted little ankle band things just so that I'm getting like a little workout while I'm cleaning my house. The first thing that I wanted to do was unpack the luggages and wash all the dirty clothes from our trip. It is my least favorite thing when I don't immediately unpack my luggages and then it's like a week later and I'm still pulling things out of my suitcase. So I really like to do this usually immediately when I get home from a trip. I often find that the idea of doing a hard task is harder than actually doing it. And so if I just do it rather than overthinking it, it's so much easier and I don't procrastinate. Growing up, I would always set timers and do like a 5-minute clean, and that's still what I do nowadays. I literally only set a timer for 15 minutes for this entire cleaning moment, and I kind of treat it like a game. I see, can I finish everything that I wanted to clean in 15 minutes? My house wasn't super messy because I did clean it before I went on my trip, but somehow immediately the first day after getting home, it always becomes somewhat messy. Even though these arm weights are only like 2.5 pounds each, my arms were definitely starting to feel the burn, and especially after I finished loading the dishwasher. While I was cleaning, I decided to go ahead and fill up my supplements as well. And just from traveling, I have all my supplements in a bag. So I just filled it up from the bag. And so I knew I had all of my supplements for the week in here. On Sundays, I like to plan my week and put everything on my calendar. And that's everything that I need to get done. And then it's also the things that I want to do. So the best way that I found to organize this is to start by writing a note, and on the note you're just literally going to brain dump every single thing that you need to do for the week. I'll give myself like 10 minutes to do this because sometimes things will come to me when I think that I've written everything that I want to remember on here. And so I sit with my brain dump for probably 10 minutes, and then I will go in and organize this, and I will categorize things, and then I'll add on my calendar the different categories that are on my to-do list. So for example, if I have like content creation task on here, then I'll make sure that I have enough time on my calendar for the content creation that I need to do. Or if I have like errands that I need to run, I'll make sure that I have that scheduled on my calendar so I know when I'm running the errands that are on my to-do list. So now that I've written out all the things in my brain dump, I'll go in and I'll prioritize these, and I'll also categorize them, and then I'll just add them onto my calendar. And what I try to do is do the hardest things in the morning And I do this so that I'm not procrastinating through the day. And I've just found that it's so much easier to do the hardest task first, because then it puts you in a different mindset of like, I can do this, rather than, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming, or like, this is such a daunting task. You've already done it at the beginning of the day and you're ready to have a great rest of your day. So once I have my entire to-do list on my calendar like this, I can see what time I'm available for workouts each day. And then I will go on my phone and either book workouts on like the Mind Body app, or I'll just schedule in when I'm gonna go to the gym / when I'm gonna walk the dog. When I'm done with this, my calendar is really, really full, but it's so helpful because I know that every single thing that I'm doing this week or supposed to remember this week is on this calendar. This week is a little different than most weeks. Most weeks I have a work block the same exact time every single day, but I have 2 days of photo shoots in LA this week. So I kind of had to be flexible, and that's one thing about working for yourself is you do have to be somewhat flexible, because there are things that will come up, but you just want to make sure that you're still doing everything that you need to get done. If I skip this on Sunday, my Monday morning is already hectic because I have no plan for the week. So if I don't get around to doing anything else in my Sunday reset, this is the number one priority that I will make sure that I do, even if I'm doing it at like 8 o'clock at night on Sunday. The last thing that I will do on my iPad / computer on my Sunday reset is do my meal planning. And this is so helpful for having a plan of what I'm eating every single day this week. The way that I do this is I will go through my refrigerator and see what I have, and then I will go on Pinterest and find meals that I want to recreate, or I will remember meals that I already know the recipe to and I want to make it this week. And I will just write out, what am I having for lunch every single day? And I usually have the same lunch every single day. And then what am I having for dinner Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? And this makes it so much easier so that I know what I'm getting at the grocery store. But when it's Tuesday and I'm thinking about what am I making for dinner tonight, I already know, and it's already written on this list, and I know that I already have the ingredients because that's what I went grocery shopping for. And so this has been game changer for making just cooking healthy and delicious and nutritious meals so effortless. So the way that I do it is I'll just write literally weekly meals. This week is a little bit different than normal for me. Normally I'm planning all the nights every single week for dinner, but I am going out of town Tuesday night through Saturday morning for work. So I don't really need to plan any meals for those days, which is also helpful to know that I don't need to buy very much groceries this week. Lunches, I'm just making my regular turkey, rice, veggie bowls. I just realized I should probably grab some veggies for dinner tonight. We're gonna do steak and veggie platter. And then I'll basically just go in now and write grocery list. And then I'll write out everything that I need to make these meals, as well as just whatever weekly staples that I usually get every week, which is like yogurt, kombucha, fruit, stuff like that. Usually this is a lot more in-depth and I'm like adding screenshots of pictures and actual recipes here, but I am gonna try to keep my cooking and my meals super easy this week just because I don't have a lot of time. I always go grocery shopping on Sunday, and it's because I do not like waking up on Monday with no ingredients to make breakfast, or I don't have any milk to make a good coffee. I really like to start the week with all the groceries that I need. And so I'll usually just go to the grocery store right after I do my meal planning, so it's fresh in my brain of what I'm making. And it's definitely one of those tasks that can be a little bit daunting, where it's like you don't want to go. But I always thank myself after I go to the grocery store on Sunday, because then I'm like, okay, I got what I needed and now I can relax. I've gone through phases in my life and in my 20s of drinking, and definitely when I was in my early 20s, I loved to go out on the weekend and drink like every single weekend. And that was just what I did with my friends. And it's so interesting now, kind of like halfway through my 20s, I feel like my weekends look so different. I'm not anti-drinking in any way, shape, or form. I think that drinking can definitely enhance an experience and get conversation flowing naturally. But I don't really live the kind of life where I feel like I want to go out and drink every single weekend, because I don't really think that that's enhancing the experience of my weekend. But I think when you're hanging out with friends or you're maybe at a bonfire or whatever, it can definitely get conversation flowing. Or if you're at a restaurant and you want to try a drink and it enhances the food experience or it enhances the conversation. But it's interesting because my weekends just look a lot different than they used to in my early 20s. And I'm so grateful for that. But I'm like, 21-year-old me would be cringing so hard at like spending a Sunday morning resetting, getting ready for the week. But I truly feel like there's different phases of your life and of your 20s where different things are important to you and you outgrow old versions of yourself. And I just try to look at it with gratitude. But it was definitely weird for me when I started to kind of grow out of the phase of feeling like I wanted to go out and party every single weekend, because I did lose most of the friends that I was doing that with because they just weren't in alignment with how I wanted to spend my time on the weekend anymore. And I definitely felt really self-conscious about it, because I was like, well, is something wrong with me? Like, why don't I want to go out and like be young and like go get drunk and like have a good weekend? But I'm like, I think I just value feeling good so much. And I'm like, I've been drunk, I've been hungover, and I honestly hate that feeling. And I'd much prefer to like spend my free time in the week like actually feeling good. I don't know, I just feel like it was such a moment for me making the transition internally, just because I genuinely felt like my friends thought I was weird because I no longer wanted to participate in the things that I wanted to once before. And it is weird. Growth is super weird. I also think I learned through that chapter that sometimes you have friends that you do different activities with. Maybe you have like a friend that you work out with, or a friend that you go out and go drinking with. And if you're constantly like going out and drinking every weekend and that's your main thing that you're doing, most likely your friends are drinking friends. And I just learned this kind of like the hard way when I stopped wanting to go out and drink 24/7 on the weekends and just live my life like that. I felt like I didn't have very many friends. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. I just think that the friendships that I had made revolved around partying and drinking, and now I just wasn't in alignment with that anymore. Recently, I've been trying to be intentional with spending time doing nothing. I'm the type of person who loves checking things off of a to-do list. It makes me feel good about myself. It makes me feel like I'm being productive and proactive. But I do think that it's a coping mechanism sometimes, and the easiest way to avoid feelings that you're feeling because you don't have time or you're too busy. And I was thinking about my current schedule and my current life. And the other day, I was sitting there with no phone, and I realized that even the time that I'm not doing something productive, I'm still consuming information, whether that's like social media videos or like reading or like listening to a podcast or like even listening to music. I never really give myself a chance where I'm not either being productive or consuming something. And so I'm never really giving myself time with my own thoughts and feelings. And how can you possibly process your own thoughts and feelings if you never give them any time or any energy or any brain power? And so we're avoiding thoughts and feelings because we can. We can keep a busy schedule and just avoid them. Or we can just like overconsume content and never have to like sit with our feelings. But I feel like it's so good for you to actually sit with your feelings and give them time and give them emotions, because we're not meant to be emotionless, and some things are sad or not the reality that you were wanting or not perfect, but that's still okay. You can still be accepting of the situation even if it's not your ideal outcome. So what happens when we're not expressing our emotions and feeling the feelings that we need to feel, and we're just like over consuming content to numb everything? What happens when we do this is we're not escaping the emotion. We're just delaying the expression of it. And over time, when we do this, we can become numb. We become numb because we basically silence our inner voice. And then what also happens when we do this is our brain becomes addicted to constant stimulation, because rest and stillness, it feels unbearable. It feels so uncomfortable that you literally cannot stand it. And so your brain becomes more reliant on those short little dopamine hits. And that could even mean checking something off of a to-do list, because in our brain, when we check something off of a to-do list, it releases dopamine. And then if we don't sit with our feelings and we don't sit with our emotions and we don't process through things, it just delays the healing of what you're going through. In one of my other videos, I was talking about how I wanted to start journaling again, because recently I will journal for 5 minutes and then go do something else, and like journal for 5 minutes and go do something else. And it's just showing me that I have such a short attention span, especially when it comes to sitting with my own feelings and processing my own emotions. And so I'm gonna sit here. I am setting a timer for 30 minutes and I'm gonna journal. I'm gonna write whatever I feel. And I have to sit here for 30 minutes, and I have my notifications turned off on my iPad. I'm going to try to write in a way where I let feelings and emotions and thoughts come up without judging them or feeling self-conscious about them. I just want to notice them, and then I want to keep writing. Another way that you can do this if you don't like writing is you can do a voice memo, and you could do like a 5 to 10 minute long voice memo where you just talk about everything that's going on internally in your brains and the thoughts and feelings that you're having. And you have to practice being non-judgmental to yourself and your own thoughts and feelings, because that's how you heal and move forward from different things. Yesterday, I went on a date, and Jonas and I didn't bring our phones, and it was so nice. We both realized how much of a phone addiction we have, because we both were constantly like, oh, I want to go on my phone, or like, oh, I want to look something up, or like, oh, I need to check this. And it's like, you don't need to do anything right this second. Like, sometimes you just need to take a few minutes away from your phone. My 30-minute timer just went off, and I have to say, for the last 5 minutes, I was thinking, will this ever be over? But I actually wrote a good bit. I mean, I wrote like a lot. The font is really, really small. And I do feel good, and I am just honoring my own thoughts and feelings and giving myself a moment of silence to actually hear them and acknowledge them and notice, without just feeling the need to quickly move on to something else and live in this constant distraction. There is nothing like getting out and enjoying a beautiful day, especially when it's the weekend and you don't feel like you need to be on the computer. You feel like you can actually just go out and enjoy a beautiful day. There's literally no clouds in the sky. So Elo and I are gonna go on about an hour-long walk. A lot of days I drive to the beach to go and walk down there, but today I just wanted to not walk around so many people and just listen to some relaxing, calming music. I turned on the sauna so that after this walk, I could jump in and get a good sweat, a good detox before the week starts. And then I have been wearing these Lululemon tennis shoes for a week now, and I wanted to do my little update and review on these shoes. So these are very comfortable and they've become one of my favorite shoes that I've ever owned. They are great for walking around in them. To be fully honest, I haven't done a run in them, but I have worked out in them and they're very comfortable. Comparing them to Hoka's, they're a little bit less squishy than Hoka's, but I'm obsessed with them and I'm so happy that I got them. Since I am washing my hair after I sauna, I'm just putting some rosemary oil in my roots. This has really helped my hair grow a lot thicker and healthier since I started doing this. And I will just leave this in my hair while I'm in the sauna, and the heat activates it a little bit more, and then I'll just wash my hair after the sauna. So I'll do rosemary oil in the roots. For the ends, I do rose hemp oil. Both of these are my Amazon storefront. One thing to keep in mind when you're putting oil in your hair is you do usually need to double shampoo. And I was doing oil in my hair for a really long time, but I wasn't double shampooing, and I was confused why my hair texture was kind of oily and hard to manage, and it's because I wasn't fully getting the oil out. So just keep that in mind if you are going to do any oils in your hair, that you do need to double cleanse it. I'm gonna try to stay in here for 20 minutes. It's 175 degrees. I feel like that's the temperature that I've been going at every single time because that's my favorite. I feel like when I start going over 185, I don't have as good of a sauna experience because I'm so hot. It's funny because I just got in the sauna and I'm already drenched in sweat. It's so interesting to me how at any part in our life we can just choose to reinvent ourselves. And it's really interesting because you can reinvent yourself and people know you as the person that they met you as, but you might be a different version of yourself now. And you might have grown so much and changed so much that they actually don't know this version of you. And it's so beautiful because it's never too late to reinvent yourself or start over. And people are going to have the same perception that they had of you until they get to re-know you, or maybe they don't get to re-know you, but like you can change regardless of what people's opinions of you are and be a completely new and different version of yourself than you've ever been before. And we can do that as many times as we want to. I just feel like it's such a beautiful part about life is it's never too late to reinvent yourself or change something or show up differently. You just have to start showing up as the new version of you. I really listen to my body every single time I get in the sauna. Some days I'm like, oh, I can push it really hard today. And then some days I'm like, you know what? I need to get out right now. And I listen to myself. I set goals, but I listen to myself. So we're in our last 5 minutes and it's definitely hard. I feel it. And I feel like these last few minutes are so mental, and it's such a good time to do like a meditation or practice just mental strength, because it's usually always the mind that gives up before the body in so many things. Our bodies are so capable of hard things, and it's usually our little voice in our mind saying, you can't do it, you're tired, you can't do it, you're hot, you're too tired, like blah blah whatever. But you can do it. And sometimes it's okay to say, you know what? I'm going to listen to my mind, but I'm going to turn the volume a little bit down because I know I can do this. And that's what you have to do sometimes with your goals. And so that is exactly what I'm going to do for the last now 3 minutes of this. Is I'm just going to tell my mind, you be quiet, and I'm going to let my body be in the moment and not let my mind ruin the moment because I think that I'm not capable, because I am capable. I did an everything shower, so washed my hair, shaved my legs, washed my face, and then I just put in some leave-in conditioner and brushed my hair. I got a little breakout on my chin, so I was really excited to do my red light therapy mask. For the rest of this Sunday, Jonas and I cooked steaks, and then we watched our favorite show, The OC, and just chilled out. And so that is the end of my Sunday reset. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.